Testing one, two, three. The Ace aircon, as they call it in the Philippines, is out in the bedroom. So I'm trying a new. I'm trying to do this out here in the living room. Um, my wife's sitting on the couch. She doesn't like to be in the videos, so we'll see what she does. Anyway, I just wanted to see what it looked like out here. And it looks like I need a little more light. So hang on. Yeah, how's that? Better, much better. Yeah. So I just finished working on a book. I published it. It's called Simply Jesus. So I just wanted to do a little short video on it. Um, so when I was back in the hospital for my surgery on my neck, I think I told you guys that the Lord I had a little conversation with the Lord that day. And then people that don't understand these things, I have friends that don't understand how you have conversations with the Lord, and I could just say because I believe that we have a living relationship with Him, and so that means a relationship. That means listening and speaking, and He does speak to me in my heart. It's not that I hear words like David, do this. Not like that. It's not like Moses in the burning bush or anything like that. But it's just a knowing, and usually and it's always going to be something that's not against what the Bible says ever, and that would be your first guide. And the other guide would be for me. It's usually something that goes against my nature. When I mean by that is what I want to do or what I think should happen. So because God's ways are not our ways, right? So he told me, just write these simply. He first of all he said, I do not want you to pay to promote your books at all. So I'm not. I'm not paying for this. This cost me nothing. This is just a video that cost me nothing. We hope to gain from it someday, but that's God's. That's once again that's God's will. So anyway, he spoke to me and he said, I want you to write these simple books because I had written the simple gospel. Started as a gospel for children, and then it sort of morphed into this the simple gospel, which is basically just a way to share the gospel in a simple, understandable way. Because you got to understand, in the Philippines and also in the U.S., I think things get too complicated. So then out of that sprang this idea of a series called Simply. So the first one is Simply Jesus. The second one, actually, I guess the first one would be the simple gospel, and then Simply Jesus, which is just basically simple. It's basically who did Jesus say he was? The great I am statements. So most of them were in the book of John, right? And then why did he come? So mostly, again, mostly in Jesus' words. I think almost everything in there is the words of Christ in red. So what? Why did Jesus say he came? Well, he came for more than one reason. You may be surprised to know. He came to destroy the works of the devil. He came to set people free. Blah blah blah. Bunch of reasons why he came. Very important, right? If we know why he came, and then the last part, the most important part, is what does he ask us to do? I think this is the most important part because Jesus says, "If you love me, you'll do what I say." And then I read in Corinthians yesterday, just to put a hammer and a nail on that for you. If you think you don't have to obey Jesus, if you think you just said a prayer and you're good, and we're not saved by works, we're not saved by works. We're saved by faith. Faith is an action word. So once you're actually saved, God expects you to. If it's kind of like once you're in the ocean, we expect you to swim. That's what it's like. It's not like you don't have to swim. But you better, right? So God expects us to do His will. He says, "If you love me, you'll do what I say." So that's why we go through this. What did He say? And so a lot of that comes from the Sermon on the Mountain, right? A lot of it, and it's not everything's not in there. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a simple book. But it's just some simple stuff. Turn the other cheek, love your enemies, all the things he tells us to do. Go and make disciples of all those things that Jesus commands us to do. And if we love him, we do them. And like I said in Corinthians, I think it was Second Corinthians 16, somewhere in there, it says, Paul the apostle says, those that do not love him are accursed. So basically, some people say, well, you don't have to be a disciple to be a Christian. Some famous people say that, but it's not true. It's absolutely not true because he says, those who love me obey me. And then Paul says, if you don't love him, you're cursed. What does that mean? It means you're going to hell. It means you're not a Christian, which I always assumed. I mean, I kind of knew that. And then when I read that, it put it in black and white for me. I'm like, yeah, I knew that if you were saved, you love him. So you're going to do what he says. That was enough for me. But then let's put an exclamation mark. And if you don't love me, then you're not mine. And so that means you don't obey. And so what do we obey? All the things he told us to do. Well, that's impossible. That's why my sermon this Sunday, is going to be on the new heart. It's only impossible without God. So that's it, guys. It's a new book, Simply Jesus. You can find it on Amazon.com under David Pinson. That's Pinson. God bless you guys. Ta ta for now.